Right at the beginning of the year, you have that all important time to talk with parents. Hopefully you're talking about with parents at regular intervals throughout the program, but certainly at the beginning of the year. And I want you to think about asking some questions you might not normally ask. What about a question to parents instead of like, hey, here's your parent handbook, here's the calendar, which these are all important. We cover them in night one of getting started for the catechetical year. What about asking your parents, why are you enrolling your children in RE? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing it right now? However you want to phrase that, but really get them to think. And it might be uncomfortable for parents to actually volunteer an answer if you're in a gathered session or an orientation that's gathered. Give them an opportunity to reflect for a little bit and write the answer down. If mom and dad are there together, give them a second to talk about it. They're probably blown away by the question. They probably thought, wait, aren't we just supposed to get a handbook, the calendar, the important dates? But you're giving them a kind of a slider / change up ball here. And it's great. It's a great thing to do. Get them off their toes, get them on their heels, however you describe that, and get them thinking about, why are we doing this? And they're going to come up with answers like, aren't you supposed to? This is what you normally do. Or this is what I did. This is what my parents did for me. And these are all fine answers. We're not going to judge people's answers or criticize people for the answers they give. We're going to welcome them, right? Be that inviter, that greeter that I mentioned earlier. But we're then going to call them to something a little deeper. This faith that you're enrolling this study of faith that you're enrolling your child in or children, it's our prayer here at the parish, and we want it to be your prayer and desire that it's what calls them more deeply to the love of Christ, that it changes your kids' lives, that it orientates their whole life to God. And what a wonderful gift that is for your child. So that's a great question. Why are you doing this? Kind of similar. Why is this important to you? I already asked him like as a level set question. What role do you play in your child's faith formation already? Do you pray at home, or do you pray over your kids at bedtime? Do you do prayers at the dinner table? What sorts of ways are you already helping to incorporate faith in the home to support your child's growth in faith? If you get parents thinking about that at the beginning of the year, then when you throw out those extra change ups or sliders periodically, like, hey parents, we'd love you to do this activity at home. Hey parents, we'd love you to pray this prayer every Sunday during Advent or whatever it is. They might be more receptive to that, because you've already planted that seed. So I just wanted to say, this is the first, at the beginning of the year, is such a wonderful time to ask these kinds of big questions to your parents and get them to thinking about why they're doing this, what they want for their kids, and what role they're going to have with that. And Steve, I'm going to bring you back on here, or I'm going to try to bring you back on to see if you have any questions or if you have any comments about that.
I think that challenging the parents on their motivation is an excellent idea, because we've really got to get to the depth of what this is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that we do because we've always done it, or we need to hit the goal? We want to score the touchdown of the sacrament,
Mm-hmm.
or is it really about helping your children grow in faith and living that faith? So I love the suggestions that you posed. The questions that you posed, I think they're fantastic.
Well, thanks. And here's one more idea. And this is for DREs. How many times have you, for catechist formation, called in a heavy hitter like Steve, or like a Joe Paprocki or somebody else that's really well known, to come in and just kind of get everybody excited about the catechetical year and all this? And I got to tell you that, and it was funny because I was listening to a colleague of mine who does this for a living, and he says, I go into these places and give talks, and I get these dead eye stares, from mom and dad in the audience. But he said, this one friend in particular goes, at this one parish, I was not the highlight, he said. I was actually just another witness up there, just a person giving a reflection. The people who became the highlights were the parents that the DRE had selected. These were parents who had already served as catechists, and to have them share what that was like for them to be catechists. And that can really inspire that next generation of catechists that you have at that beginning of the year formation. Yeah. So consider that, call upon them to share their experiences. And as my friend would say, it's first of all, it's a lot cheaper than bringing somebody in. Second of all, when you see, hey, I know Larry, I know Barb, and they were catechists, like it opens up that possibility.
Well, and it's so authentic. They expect to hear us say,
Mm-hmm.
"Here's what here's why this is so important." But when they hear it from their peers, their other
Right.
parents, or other catechists, then suddenly it's like, well, wow, they're really doing this and living this,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do that too. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it becomes more authentic in the sense that it's somebody that they know and that they didn't necessarily expect to hear that from. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they've witnessed it, but to hear them say that, that's so powerful.
Huge deal. Again, going back to the full circle here. Number one bullet in the identity of the catechist: keeper of the memory of God and a witness.